Hey everybody, this is Petey from the Spinner Rack. We also have
Calvin Ellis, ready to rock.
today we have another trailer of the Odyssey. Any thoughts before I play this?
Just keep your ear open in case I say cut.
Okay. You seem to like saying that for some reason, or maybe you're annoyed when you say that. I can't never tell. Ready, set, let's go.
Hey, part of it, the audience loves it.
Okay.
Universal, the movie theater that won't let the Hulk go. All right, cut,
Already? Good Lord, what
right
happened?
there, cut.
What happened?
Okay, so I was with it up until this part right here, and then I was like, all right. Okay, I'm already a big. I love Greek classics. I love Greek mythology. I know this stuff backwards and forwards, where the average person would not. What the hell kind of helmet is that? Okay, already we're Batman, right? Already, good grief. Okay, one, the helmet's wrong, but I don't have a problem with that because most people believe these are the helmets that they would have wore at this time, and these are helmets from a much later period. But what? And then what's going on here? The oversized helmet. Okay, I'm Batman. So we got this going on over here, and then you got Odysseus taking a knee in front of him like he's about to suck him off. What is this?
Wow, I wasn't expecting you to go
Oh
there.
no, play. Let it run. Watch him. Watch
Okay,
him.
ready, going back, and here we go.
Go back. Here you go.
After years of war,
That, that's right. Suck me off, bitch.
Wow. I guess that was payback. Oh man, is it careful the things you do? They might be on the same as. Look at this. Wow,
I,
this is the thing. It doesn't. It's a kneel up until where is it?
it's a kneel till you get on both knees.
It's a kneel.
Here you
Then there's
go.
a spin
Kneel.
right there. Then there's a pause. What is he
And right
doing?
there, yep.
Man,
You
it's
know what he's
so
doing.
terrible. Oh,
You know
sorry.
what he's doing.
So, what do you say, sir?
I like the fact that they aren't shying away from the mythological aspects of the story. We can see the Cyclops. We can see that he's going to Hades. We'll probably see Poseidon. I like those aspects. I don't like the fact that it's so dark. Uh, they don't seem to. Did you ever see Ulysses with? They're going to say. I was about to say Burt Lancaster with Kirk Douglas.
No, no, I didn't see that.
Okay, this is one of the. Is this might be the first adaptation of the Odyssey, and they take a lot of they don't adapt it. I don't want to say it's not faithfully, but they take they take their liberties here and there, but they understood what this world is supposed to look like. The Today, if you're wealthy, okay, if you're like the best basketball player, the best football player, you have a really nice looking car, you have a great looking house. The ships that these guys are on at this time period are the equivalent of a Maserati, okay, the equivalent of a Hellcat. And then they're also drab. There's no decoration, there's no color. Odysseus would be one of the premier fighters. He'll be one of the premier fighters, and you would know he's one of the premier fighters because his armor would be so burnished. He would have like this type of helmet, and that was to signal. That was a signal anybody who was getting ready to attack him that in order to attack him, they were going to have to come through all of the men that he had around him because he had that particular status. So they're going to back off because they know they're going to die and they're just going to fight other rabble at the end of the day. And here he just looks like a common soldier. He doesn't look any different than the other guys with him. Uh, the whole thing with Tom Holland, who's supposed to be his son and a prince, he looks like he's a commoner. They act like the old world didn't have color. Like they didn't understand that. Whereas, you know, for them, if you were wealthy, you displayed it. You displayed it. So that's something, I he they always think dark is more grounded, and yet they have no understanding of the ancient world and how these guys viewed life. It's not very much different than us. Most people who have the money, they flaunt it. They flash at the end of the day, and yet the same people here, they don't do it. I can understand if it's later on in the Odyssey when Odysseus is pretty much loses everything, no problem. But you're looking at his wife, you're looking at his son, you're probably gonna look at his home in Ithaca, and everything looks so drab, and they would have never done that. It would have been like an envious place to look at. If you're a commoner and you looked at the castle and you were kind of shrugging your shoulders like, doesn't look too much different than my place, just bigger. What's the sense of being a king?
Interesting. Otherwise, for me, well, until you pointed that portion out, for me, it looks okay, and I like the idea that they're hinting that they're going to do something supernatural in here. Here, a little. Oh no, is that dude, the Spanish dude? That's in everything. But to hint that we're going to test out the horse first, the blades. They probably did something, and the harder thing to do is to stab someone by surprise. But to try to add some pseudo realism here and wait for us to see it. But yeah, it looks okay. Hopefully we get to see him push it. I mean, he's gonna get all the money that he needs to make these sort of things. He's probably the only one that could do it and get you some supernatural elements. But don't try to ground him too much to say this guy is just it's how he looks with the shadows when he comes out. He's actually the same size as a midget. It's just this.
Well, see, that would be that right there. That would be a real punk move. That would be because then don't tell the story.
Yeah.
Don't tell the story. It's like trying to tell the Santa Claus story and the reindeer don't fly. No, the reindeer don't fly. It's really just he's got like a rocket attached to this really nice looking car. And then like don't tell the story then. Tell the story with somebody who has a really nice car with a rocket against the car. This story involves these mythological, fantastical elements that make the story worthwhile.
Yeah, no,
If you
definitely.
don't want to do it, if you don't believe in that type of stuff, if it doesn't sing to you, then go your own way. There's plenty of other stuff. If you just want to tell a story of a guy who's fighting to get back home, that's oh man, that's as old as I cannot remember the original story. It's like literally it's one of these ancient classics about these guys who are behind enemy lines and they're trying to get back home. Sort of like you saw the Warriors, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, at the time, The Warriors was like a modern adaptation of that particular storyline, where these guys are like, they're on enemy territory, they're far away from home, and they're trying to make it, and they're trying to make it back. We'll do that at the end of the day. You don't need a Cyclops or gods or the dead or Charybdis and Scylla, but if you want to do this, it's not fair to your audience to not do it because you're depriving them of the elements of the story that have made it last for well over 3,000 years.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And trying to interpret the stuff that's there as well, it's like this dictionary. It's like this Leviathan, it was probably an alligator or something like that. Like keep to the elements, especially when you're Christopher Nolan. There, you come into a room and say, we don't think we have whatever you want to do. Like, I need to see drawings of all these things and these creatures and these lands and area, and maybe let's see the gods and this and that. You can get it all done, and you don't have to say we had to make a shortcut. Oh, you know what? It worked a whole lot better when we cut out half the story. It worked. It made it go flow more smoother, and the fact that people can relate to them, that makes it a lot better. Like, I think I was just arguing about. Well, it's about changing the character, whether it be the opposite of this, changing a character who's kind of stiff when in the Black Knight, who was supposed to be in the Marvel movies, and turned him into kind of a cool action hero. And I kept saying Martin Riggs from Lethal Weapon, and people were like, oh, he ain't nothing like Martin Riggs. Oh, he got a personality. It's like, no, personality is, you can't say because he's boring. He didn't have a personality. He just as a boring or kind of a dull type of guy. Turning him into like Stallone and Schwarzenegger is not answering, giving them a personality. So, but ultimately, it's I think with 300, it said do more of these. The audience is interested in it, and you can utilize some of it to hype up the action. You don't want to do something so you say 300 came first, but this is how things happen. One movie comes out, and it leads other people to say, "Hey, we should do more." Or I think what was the HBO thing that they did on this? It had Brad Pitt in it. Oh man, they had like a
Troy?
yeah, Troy, yeah, and that was more on the kind of realistic side of things, right? In
Well, they
Troy,
sucked all the God stuff out of that too.
yeah. So that's the
they
thing.
they sucked
Yeah.
all the stuff that would. It's just you don't need to do Troy if you just want to do an ancient world sword and sandal type story. You don't need to do Troy. There's other stuff that you can do. But if you're gonna do Troy and you take out the gods,
Yeah.
okay, you take out the gods, they're key players in the story. There's certain things that don't happen unless they're in the story.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
and they were trying to do their own modern, and they were trying to do their own. Oh, the gods aren't real, and this, that, and the other, and so on and so forth. Blah blah blah. Like anybody 3,000 years ago would have been on that level. This whole idea of like atheism and God doesn't exist. That's a modern thing. That's a modern thing. Nobody at that time would have listened to that nonsense. It wouldn't have been, do you believe in God? It would have been, which God do you pray to? That's what it would have been. So the whole idea is that they look back on this thing with, somebody's kind of like they're jaded or they're cynical. The person from the ancient world believed that if you were doing well, if you were rich, if you were powerful, you had nice things, then the gods were with you. And if you were not like that, then the gods were against you. They didn't believe that there was no divine intervention one way or the other. Okay, so when that's a real modern thing when they decide to take those aspects out because they don't know how to approach it. They can't engage with these particular ideas. And mind you, I'm not saying that you go and you become a deist or you're going to go get baptized or anything, but you have to appreciate these stories for what they meant to the audience. They weren't being told to a modern audience. They were being told to an ancient world audience, and they resonated so deeply with them that these stories never stopped being told. And hey, surprise, surprise, they still resonate very much with modern audiences because of their themes, characterization, plotting, all of those particular elements that we still use
Yeah.
as the foundations of Western literature. So I don't understand when they do this type of stuff. I really I don't dig it. Number one, I love this stuff. It's so much fun
Yeah.
to expand your mind and allow your imagination to go crazy with something like Greek mythology and these particular stories. But they it's unfortunate, but they've lost that sense of wonder when you can go and this is silly. Nobody believes this stuff anymore. Hey, that doesn't mean they can't enjoy the story.
Well, I mean, the other hard part is trying to get, the other thing about it is that it also didn't start with 300. The 300 has the same kind of subject matter and is one of the classic stories. I always think about going to Clash of Titans. The reason why I know I went to see that was my father was a big fan of Jason and the Argonauts. And like when he was young, I guess how was he? Maybe a teen at that point. Maybe he was like 15 or 16. But he went crazy for it. And the idea that the past, what is it called? I'm looking at it right here. The stop motion animation by Ray Harryhausen. That was so much so that George Perez, referenced that when he was doing this Wonder Woman to say put Wonder Woman in a Ray Harryhausen type of film, like that sort of action and those type of creatures that pop out of the ground and start fighting. That's what you want to get back to. This is what we got. We got the effects. Don't take it out and just say we have to walk over there. We're gonna get into it. But now the 300 gave you so many different visuals. That's one thing. But here we can get back to the things that young people used to love watching as in films. So it's like, don't forget that we have a history of these films and before 300 that were fantastical and had all these elements. And this is the
And
time
better, and better.
better. Yeah, and so you can
Did you
get
see?
back. What's up?
You saw Clash of the Titans. Did you see
Yeah,
the
yeah.
remake?
I didn't see the remake. I didn't see the remake.
Which was better? You didn't see the remake?
No, I didn't. I didn't. I didn't. I was too
Okay,
worried it wasn't gonna be
first
good.
movie, first movie, top tier. Remake, whatever.
And you also
The
what's up?
that classic scene with the Medusa. That
Hmm.
classic scene with the Medusa. What did they go for? They went for horror. They went for horror. And then with the new one, they decided they would go for action. And it's just like, no, the whole idea of her sneaking up, you don't know where she's coming from, and you can't look at her.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can't look at her at the end of the day. They went decided we're gonna do all this action bit, like who no. The other one had it was just better. It was executed so much better. So we've already got the precursors to these type of films. And again, I'm not obviously it looks like they're going to do it. I guess the part of me that's like, hey, if you're trying to do a cheap shot, like you said, where it looks like it looks like it's a cyclops, but it's the big shadow, and then when they get over here, that would be such a rip.
Yeah,
Okay, that would be such a
yeah.
rip off at the end of the day, and it's also contemptuous of your audience. Like they can't enjoy this. Who can enjoy those type of dumb things? All the people who are reading them at university,
Well, that's
all the
I
people
mean,
who read.
that's like the thing you have to imagine. I mean, throughout, not just being a fan of the Argonauts. My father was a
Which
fan
was a
of.
great movie. If you haven't seen it, that is who did the stop motion? Was that Ray
Yeah, Ray Harry.
Housen?
Yeah, Harryhausen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah. So because he did that, he did. I know he did Jason and the Argonauts. He did the Sinbad
yep,
movies,
been
and he
bad.
did Clash of the Titans. All great stuff. All
Oh
great stuff.
man.
If you haven't seen it, go see it. A master when it came to that stuff.
So this is the thing. You're getting to the stuff that people who, because my father was a fan of Odyssey, fan of the books, the Iliad. Him, never stopped after the Argonauts. Like so many things went to the wayside as far as comic books and that sort of thing. Like the only character he loosely liked was Submariner, but had no interest in reading anything new from the character. But when the Clash of the Titans came out, he wanted to go see that, and that whether we said it or not, he was very hyped up about it. So getting to the future, he obviously would want to see something that had some sort of better graphics and whatnot. Not for him, not saying for me, but that's how he was.
You
So,
saw that?
what?
Did you see it in the theater?
Yes, yeah, yeah, yes. We would like,
Real time, right?
yeah, right. As kids, this, that, and the other, not knowing what it's going to do. The idea of, well, how's this head going to work in the bag? And the next thing you pull, oh yeah, it makes totally it work. It would work like it. Who cares? It's this, that, and the other. So it was like it was so
Yeah,
much
that's one of
fun as a
that's
kid.
No, I went, I saw that. It was only me and my sister who could go because my other siblings were too young. They would have been freaked out. But even the two of us with the whole Medusa scene, after they cut off her head and the blood came out, and
Yeah,
we couldn't eat ketchup for months. Like, hell.
yeah,
Like, no, that looks like Heinz 57. No, no, we can't eat it. But just a very well, and we, I remember watching the advert for it, and they were just like, they just focused on they focused on the mythological creatures. They focused like the evil Calibos and Pegasus and the Kraken, all this other type of stuff. So it's like,
yeah.
wow, this is just going to be a thrill ride. This is just going to be one thing after another. And I don't remember like petitioning or anything like that. Say, hey, we want to go see it. We want to go see it. But we went to see it and we had a great time.
Yeah.
We had a great time. I still watch that movie. I think I've seen it. I know I watched it at least. I know I watched it last year. It's just one of these things after a while was just like, I just want something to watch and I want something to watch and I want it to be good. And want to know I'm going to enjoy myself. So what I usually end up watching, something like Gladiator or Clash of the Titans. And for anybody who's thinking it's not nostalgia, it's that it's good.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is not, oh, I remember when I was a kid and how much I enjoyed this. No, this is good. This nostalgia doesn't quite mean what people think it is. This is not, oh, I remember these good memories. Like, no, I didn't like this because I was a kid. I like this because it was good, and it still is. So if they get that type of thing going with it, that would be great. But all of those films, I mean, I've seen the Jason. I know exactly what you're talking about, the Jason and the Argonauts movie. So, you know, I, all of those films, were just a lot of fun, and they did not shy away from the fantastic,
Yes.
the mythological aspects of it, because that was a big part of the story. If you just want to tell a story about a guy on a quest, you don't need to tell Jason and the Argonauts. There's
Yeah.
other stories out there you can adapt. You don't have to go with that one.
Well, that's the thing. I was thinking if you're in this heavy, Greek or Roman sword thing, I had it for a while, but there's a British thing which plays right into it where you could just do a character who's like the last, son of the last Spartans, and they've taken in by the Romans and becomes this great warrior that doesn't, they don't want to give him his own thing. They keep leading him to other things. So there's other stories you can go out there, but it's like, no, the Odyssey. That's what we want, but we want to make it into our own, which is always the Hollywood thing. It's like no one's going to buy into, like, at the same time when the kids are coming up, and when you get to the point where you can watch it or you're going with your family to see it, that's the thing you want to connect to, not just having regular people run into regular people type of deal. The thing is,
Well,
what makes it cool are all these fantastic outfits. And the thing is, like, something takes you out of it when you go to the gods and they just have some simple thing of them playing chess, that sort of thing. And that sort of spills down to everything, to comic books. Like, the Greek gods are always playing chess with people for some strange reason, and it works. So it's
they're
like,
cap- the Olympians are capricious. Okay, the Olympians are like, if the Olympians were real and these are the guys you had to depend on, you are out of luck, buddy. Because those guys, as divine beings, they were capricious, they were petty, they could hold grudges. They were really, they would break their word. They were lustful, you name it, at the end of the day. So these are not the guys, but they represented in the minds of the Greeks like chaotic elements that, this was how the world worked, that you would have some sort of order, and then the next thing you know, earthquake, lightning strike, that type of
yeah.
stuff. So that's where they were going with the of the two Homeric works, the Odyssey and the Iliad. The Odyssey is the easier of the two to tell
Hmm.
because of the fantastic elements. The Iliad is harder because the Iliad has a central theme of Achilles' rage and how it goes too far and how he ends up suffering for it. Of course, there's the death of Hector, but the death of his close friend, at least as I was educated, his close friend Patroclus, and the sadness that everybody feels because of this guy's rage, and he was not able to humble himself, to check the whole thing. He was just out of control. He was just out of control, and so many people died because he could not control his rage. I think that's harder for them to execute because all they're going to think about is cool fight scenes.
Yeah.
This is like the big hero, or not the hero, but he's the protagonist. And the way that they would have gotten the Iliad is a lesson in the fact that, hey, this guy took his anger, rage, he just took it too far. He
Hmm.
took it too far, and look how many people ended up. Look at what happened because this guy couldn't control his temper. The Odyssey, however, has a theme that I think is easier to execute, a lesson that is easier to execute, and visuals that, even if you're not like, hey, what's the meaning of all of this? Oh, look at that Cyclops. Oh, wow, look at that design. It has other stuff going for it that the Iliad just doesn't. And you have to be frank, you have a more likable character in Odysseus than you do in Achilles.
Hmm.
Achilles overall is just a real jerk. Okay, he's just a real jerk at the end of the day. When you look at his character, he's not very likable. Hector, who he ends up killing, is a much more noble character.
Hmm.
So you have those things playing off of each other. but if execute, you can still execute it well, but you have to understand the story. But the Odyssey, oh, forget about it. We're all Odysseus. Odysseus is the everyman. Everybody, is it that everybody says once they get to work? You get to work at 9 o'clock. 1 minute after nine, what do you say? I want to go home, and that's Odysseus. That's Odysseus. That's that day when you're trying to get home and the train is slow. The train goes out of service. You got to transfer to another train, and it's just such a big deal for you to get from point A to point B. But when you get home, it's all worth it. You're like, yes. And then to with Odysseus, it goes a step further where he gets home and home is out of whack. And he's got to set everything to rights when he gets there. But it's a the themes in the Odyssey are very easy for the audience to get in gear with. Where I think the Iliad is definitely a heavier lift. But it's even easier if you just hey, if you do the stuff that's there for you to move into. They just did an adaptation with Ralph Fiennes the other year,
Mhm.
last year. I didn't like that one at all. I really didn't. I thought it was it just didn't work for me story wise. I think they thought if we get Ralph Fiennes in like really good looking shape, like really wizened and everything, we do this and we make it. But you're missing. They start the story when Odysseus is home, so we don't even know what the struggle was for him to get home. He just washes up. We don't know he's been out there for 20 years, busted and surviving, and then he gets home. So I think they missed a step on that one.
Yeah. So ultimately, are you ready to see it, or you have your reservations?
I have my reservations. I want to see a couple more trailers, and then I'll see it. It's just a matter of whether I'm going to see it in the theater or not.
Okay.
If I promise you, the first time it looks like they're going to try to pull a fast one, it's like that was just shadow. I'm out. Not You're not getting my money. Not doing it.
They go, no, don't run, stand the ground, and then it's the guy who was in X-Men Days of Future Past. It's like, okay, like I mean,
Didn't they do that in one movie? Isn't it like I know they've done that in a movie before where it's supposed to be everybody's like, oh, it's a giant. And then when it
yeah,
comes out over there, it's just like some pipsqueak,
yeah, and
some little person, something like that.
yeah, don't do it, and don't do the little person that like the in the X. Well, the X Men they didn't do the big to little. They did the little person that kicked the X Men's ass until Cyclops figured a way to stop it with a really tight optic blast, and then they got the giant one. So don't
Yeah,
do that.
in the comic, Boulevard Trask wasn't a little person, right?
No, he was a regular sized person. He was a
Yeah,
regular
that's what I
sized
thought.
person,
Okay.
and oh, the story isn't. That's the hard part. And when people talk about the struggle between humans and mutants, Bolivar Trask thinks mutants are a problem, and then he realizes the Sentinels are a problem because they're too smart and they're not listening, and they don't care about humans either. They're just like, I think the second run with the Larry Trask ones, they were very strict orders not to do anything to humans, and it goes awry. He doesn't know that he's a mutant himself. So, but having those layers, but definitely looks good. I just think the fact that he is the top filmmaker, he can do was it Dunkirk? He can do anything he wants. It's after like the Dark Knight and Inception doing so well, and so then his war. The only thing that stopped him was the what's that thing? The pandemic, which kind of hurt Tenet, but I'm pretty sure it probably would have been the same. And then they got his weight back up with the Oppenheimer movie. So right now, go in and say, I want to see monsters. I want to see some monsters wiggling, and you're like
I
that's
want
what.
some perfection.
I never remember
Well,
that
what I
being
want
before
is
today.
I want everything that he eschewed in the Batman films. I want the Lazarus Pit. I want Man Bat.
Yeah, no, it would be
Okay.
definitely.
All those macabre things that we could get in a Batman, all those macabre things that we could get in a Batman story. And readers like you and me would just kind of be like, oh yeah, cool, Man Bat. All right, no problem. Oh yeah, Lazarus Pit. Yeah, no problem. All of those things that we would be able to get. I want the same type of things here. Don't eschew from them. That's what the story
you
is about.
you have to imagine that at that point they were going towards the realism of Batman, and they added those elements that you're talking about. Man bat's thrown in there, the Lazarus pit is thrown in there, and then the actual the girl from the Sinbad movies. She's in there. It's like, hey, like I'm
Oh
gonna.
yeah, that design. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember
So,
that.
so it's like you're throwing in all this other stuff that's not necessarily the big typewriters and all that stuff. But it's just saying, hey, this is still. And Daniel Neal is leaning more towards his a beat writer thing, but at the same time he's pushing it and having it be a little more, still having fun with it. It's not all Daniel Neal. Frank Robbins also was a writer, and there might be another person I'm not thinking of. But it's the same way they were trying to bring Batman back to where he's supposed to be, and they weren't killing everything. Batman's fighting. Literally, you don't know the story would end. You didn't know they were actually alive or dead because I think they walk. They walk over Batman and run to their graves and drop. So there's a lot of, playing with the fantastical at the same time of being a little more grounded than they were. So don't throw that out just because they say, no one's going to buy that today. Like, no one knew people were going to buy 300. I mean, I thought 300 would work as a film, and it worked in there. But at the same time, he's not going back for the classic armor. These guys are wearing, chest out. Frank Miller didn't have them with any underwear. They said, "Oh, let's keep it chest out."
What did they wear? They just wore like the sandals, the greaves, and the
Yeah,
trunks, and that was it. And I
yeah,
was like, I know the Spartans. No Spartan would have gone to battle like that. They were like, "What are you stupid? I'm not
yeah,
trying to get killed."
yeah.
But I'll be honest, I read 300. I read the comic first. So I was like, okay, and I was like, that was enjoyable. And then when I saw the film, I was like, I have no idea how they're going to execute. I have no idea how they're going to execute this. And when I saw it, I was like, okay, yeah, he did it. I was like, he did a good job with it, which let me give him a little grace towards Man of Steel.
I walk right into that.
And then one by one, he showed me what he was gonna do.
Yeah. But it's yeah, this thing, always in the trailers they stay away from this stuff, but Clash of the Titans was like, yo, this is what you're gonna see. It's gonna be some big elements. So give it to us, and you can have your murky stuff like this, but have your monsters, your gods, and your creatures, all that stuff, because it also can herald another step in this stuff to say we want more of that. And it tells Hollywood to not shy away from it and try and explain how things get made and throw out the next, Excalibur or whatever else it may be. They might get more fantastical since we have the graphics for it. Instead of saying, oh, we got all these graphics, we need to show it believable. What are we doing here? Give me the AI and kick these other guys out. But anyway, all right. So
It's a shame. Last thing I'll say, it's a shame too that this is supposed to be movie making. It's not real, and they're still with this nonsense about we got to keep it grounded. It's a movie. None of this is real.
yeah,
None of this is real. What are you trying to ground?
well, that's also what kind of killed the first movies with the green screen because they were like, actresses and actors I like is like they're asking us to act to a post-it. Like Jennifer Connelly, they asked, "This is the Hulk. The Hulk is a post-it." And then at the same time, you get to 300 and not 300. You get to Sin City, and they're like, "Oh, we get it. This they somehow get that this acting, and you're in a small room, half of a car that's not going anywhere in green screen, and everyone looks like they're all the way in, even though." These actors know every time they're in a car, it's usually like the 60s and whatnot, or 50s, where you're sitting around and the same thing. So it's called acting. So push the limits, do this stuff. Every time they try to do like first night, I always go to first night, and they take out all the fantastic stuff. It's like, I don't care about this. I don't care about Richard Gere and Guinevere getting together, because that's not the story. I want... I need some Merlin. I need some magic in here. I need Excalibur being a real thing and getting stuck in the thing, not old. Old. Well, it was a sign to try to say that if he's not impotent, Richard Gere is obviously the next best thing. But even though they don't even cheat. They don't even heart to have that. He's like, I didn't do it. I stayed with you. And when it's like he had that one was in the '80s where he had the two of them together, and Arthur come and put the knife between the sword between the two of them and go off. It's like, oh no, it's like that. Like push it, have fun. That sort of thing. Who wants to get in there and you find out as an actor, you're like, oh, you were gonna do a lesson? No, 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 we're not doing any of that stuff. We're doing a grounded version of that stuff. Oh, okay. Get you an Academy Award? Yes. All right, we'll do it. Matt Damon. Listen, what about the Matt Damon as the hero? I gotta ask you this. What do you feel about that?
Oh, he's fine.
All right, cool. That's all we need to know. All right. Please check, subscribe, comment. I've been loving the comments and interacting with you guys, especially on the what's that, the Godfrey one. Thanks for your comments, even if you'll push it back.
What was one of the comments on the guy? I didn't see anything.
We can do an episode on that. I'll go back. But there's a bunch of those. All right. Spinner Rack
cool.
is
we're out.